Live from Fargo and serving you on TV, online, and on the go. This is Valley News Live at 10.
I would tell everyone as we head into the 4th of July next week to hug your kids and tell them you love them tonight, because it's days like this that really reinforces how quickly things can be taken away from you.
An emotional plea from West Fargo's police chief tonight after the body of a child was recovered from a retention pond following an accidental drowning.
Rescue crews responded to the pond this afternoon when a caller reported a boy was having trouble in the water. A little over 3 hours later, the child's body was recovered. Valley News Team's Christine Stanwood was the first television reporter on the scene and joins us now with more. Christine?
Andrea, Mike, despite dozens of people there tonight, either watching or searching, it was one of the quietest scenes I've ever witnessed. People were hoping and praying for a better outcome. Neighbors that I talked to say everything happened within a blink of an eye.
There were people on the other side of the pond, two gentlemen who came running down, screaming rather hysterically, and ran into the pond as soon as they saw one of the firefighters was in the water, and they started to search as well, but another firefighter came and got them out of the water.
West Fargo Fire Chief Dan Fuller says when crews arrived on scene, the child was submerged in the water, and that's when the rescue efforts began. West Fargo's fire department is close to this retention pond. First responders were in the pond very quickly.
We were a block away. We were there within 90 seconds, and we had a firefighter in the water within a minute of arriving on scene, actually in his station clothes.
That retention pond is estimated to be about 12 feet deep, and despite the use of divers and sonar water drone technology, murky water complicated those search efforts. Neighbors told me that the child was alone and appeared to have wandered into the pond. The name of the child has not yet been released, and the body has been sent to a medical examiner's officer's office for an autopsy. Mike, Andrea.
All right, thank you, Christine. There are other questions following this tragedy, specifically surrounding the safety of retention ponds.
Valley News Team's Veronica Marshall found out it's legal to swim in the ponds, and she wanted to know why. Veronica?
Mike, Andrea, by all definitions, this retention pond was standard, but law enforcement says the tragedy that happened there today was in part due to the design. Law enforcement tells us the pond wasn't particularly swollen with rainwater, and yet the pond's 12-foot depth at the center led to difficulties with rescue efforts. The lack of water clarity also complicated things, and while the city says swimming in retention ponds is completely legal, they aren't monitored, and not all of them have signs warning families about the danger of swimming in them, which is something Police Chief Yonke says the city may look into.
Some of the retention ponds across town have signs. But that's something we can take a look at the city. We're still trying to process the event that we just went through, but we'll do after action plans and follow-ups after we've had time to decompress.
In West Fargo, all new developments are required to have a level of retention, so there are a couple dozen similar ponds in the city.
All right, thanks, Veronica. This, unfortunately, is the second drowning in our area this week. On Wednesday, a 9-year-old, Gracie Elizabeth Betty from Moorhead, drowned at the Buffalo River State Park while taking part in Moorhead Police's summer youth program.
Some of us haven't finished cleaning up from last night, and we're already gearing up for what could be another round of wild weather tonight. Let's check in with Hutch to find out more. Hutch?
Yeah, we're monitoring a few thunder showers in eastern North Dakota. The atmosphere not nearly as ripe for severe weather as last night, but a few of us may see some strong storms. The strongest right now in central South Dakota, exiting the Pierre area. Those storms moving off to the east. A line of storms from Grand Forks down to near Jamestown, though, has developed here over the last little bit. Now, these have not piped up to severe levels, but they have contained small hail from times and some gusty winds. The risk from severe weather from these pretty low, but we do have a risk as we go through the overnight hours and as that energy makes its way into some more unstable air out to the east for some severe storms. Our forecast model shows if we have that chance, it'll be during the overnight hours. We'll keep our eyes on the skies. Notice the brighter red radar display out near the Bemidji area and Wadena. As we go through the overnight hours, that's where we'll have the better chance of seeing some stronger storms once again. And we know you're picking up from last night's round of storms in much of Beltrami County. We'll have details on what you can expect for the rest of your weekend here in just a moment, but these severe storms will be leaving us soon, and I'm not unhappy with that.
Okay. Thanks, Hutch.
Yeah.
6 10,000 bushel bins at the elevator in Merrifield, North Dakota were significantly damaged by strong winds overnight. The bins were blown into neighboring vehicles. A farm and bean plant on either side were also pretty badly damaged, and the wind blew a truck over on its side.
We could see down the road coming in here that the bins were missing, and the elevator has shifted from the house here, the scale room, and the bins all over the road and tangled up in trees and covering cars. It was a lot worse than we ever expected.
Merrifield is just south of Grand Forks. We have more photos and video from the scene posted on our website. Go to valleynewslive.com.
One North Dakota man was killed during last night's storm when his camper crushed him after it was knocked over by strong winds. The McLean County Sheriff's Office says 42-year-old Jerry Keller of Wilton died when he stepped outside of his camper at Hecker Lake, which is north of Bismarck, to secure things from flying around. The camper then rolled on top of him. Deputies have shut down some of the hardest hit areas in the storm for the weekend. Downed trees aren't the only issue. Boats flipped over, homes were shattered from fallen trees. One woman says she's glad she wasn't in her camper last night. Dozens of people affected by the storm say they are doing their best to stay positive despite the tragedy.
The storms also did a number on one of Fargo's local hotspots, Davies Pool. The Park District says the storm caused between $40,000 and $50,000 in damage, overturning benches and crushing other fixtures at the water park. For those wanting to beat the heat, after a bit of cleanup, the pool reopened.
It's definitely scary because every time you want to have your kids go swimming, you want them to be safe. So I think they're always going to have it be safe here for the kids. I don't think they'd open it if it wasn't.
The main repairs will be to the 7 umbrellas at the pool, which were uprooted. Replacing them cost the Park District $5,000 each.
A Fargo man is in jail accused of robbing a jewelry store this morning and placing employees in zip ties. Police arrested 25-year-old Victor Velasquez. Police say he robbed Riddle's Jewelry at gunpoint, zip-tied an employee, and made 3 other people in the store fill up bags of jewels and bring them out to his van. We're told Velasquez drove away with more than 3 heavy-duty garbage bags filled with jewels. The Highway Patrol pulled him over on I-29 south of Fargo. There were no injuries.
Sighs of relief for the girls inside the van involved in a rollover crash southeast of Mapleton last night. Thankfully, they were okay and are with their families this evening.
Valley News Team's Joseph Ojo caught up with one of the girls involved, who is counting her lucky stars that everyone in the van made it out alive.
What started as an exciting road trip turned scary in a matter of seconds.
So we were going the speed limit, and then all of a sudden on this gravel road, I looked at Elizabeth and I was like, I don't think that car is going to stop.
Brianna Nielsen, along with 10 other girls, ranging from ages 14 to 18, were all headed home from a basketball tournament in Fargo. The girls were headed south along the county road when a passenger vehicle failed to yield, causing the collision and the van the girls were in to roll.
I just remember freezing up a little bit, and I put my arm over top of the driver, and then I held on to her armrest. And then I just remember people screaming and everyone saying, hold on.
Brianna says glass flew all around as the windshield along with the windows of the van shattered.
I thought it rolled because I remember banging around on top of my teammates.
And the girls, who considered themselves to be more than just teammates, banded together to help each other out of the van.
I got out of the van, I made sure everyone was okay, and then I ran to the nearest house and I rang the doorbell and I asked the lady to call 911.
Their swift actions to help each other before things got worse is what Nielsen says allowed them to be back in the loving embrace of their family's arms.
There's not really any words to describe it, I guess. We're just fortunate and lucky.
In Fargo, Joseph Ojo, Valley News Live.
One of the male passengers in the car is still in serious condition at Sanford Hospital, and as mentioned, all the other girls are expected to be okay and will even be able to play in their next game on Thursday.
Coming up later on Valley News Live at 10, sticking with the same doctor could lead to a longer and happier life.
Plus, improve your vision and you might find yourself handling your car better.
Watching